Welcome to the Kiss Army Things podcast, episode 76. My name is Xander. Boy, we are just cranking out episodes lately, so thank you so much for joining me on another exciting episode of Kiss Army Things. This episode is going to be a solo show, obviously, but I am going to be doing a kind of a Rosemont recap. I know we just did an episode with the full group, and that was totally awesome. Gotta be one of my favorite episodes that we've done, just because that was like a dream come true. But this one is going to be just more of like a video diary, I guess, kind of just like my thoughts on the show and my experiences. I'm still coming off of this high, man, off of the Indianapolis show and the Rosemont show, and Daphne and I did a review of the Indianapolis show, and so I just want to do a quick review of the Rosemont show. I'm not sure how long this episode is going to be. It doesn't matter. I'm just having so much fun, and I just really appreciate you guys joining me. Thank you so much for commenting and liking these videos, and if you haven't, go ahead and hit subscribe. That way any more Kiss Army Things content comes out, you'll know about it and you'll get to see it. I love everybody when they join in on the comments and just telling them about your guys' experiences, and I love that. That's why I'm here, and so I really appreciate it when you guys chime in too. But yeah, like I said, I'm just coming off of this incredible high from the Rosemont show, and it literally could not have been better. I'm just so happy with how things went, and maybe when I get really old and start losing my memory, I can watch this video and be like, oh yeah, okay, I can refresh myself. I wanted to do a kind of like a documentary along the way, but because the shows were almost canceled, and then at the last minute, we kind of realized, okay, Indianapolis, Rosemont, and then Baltimore, those shows are a go. I decided, you know what, I just want to live in the moment and just enjoy this. But now, I did still take plenty of pictures, plenty of videos. I'm sure they'll pop up all over this video. But anyway, I just want to get to, kind of the highlights of the Rosemont show and just the events surrounding it. If I wanted to do a Kiss spotlight, I will. I'll keep it short and sweet this week because I actually did listen to Kiss on the way up to the show this time. I mentioned, and Daphne and I mentioned in the last show that we did together about how on the way up, we really didn't listen to a whole lot of Kiss music. Usually Kiss is the only thing on the playlist when we're going to a Kiss show. I mean, it just kind of makes sense, but I think we only listened to 2 Kiss songs, and the rest was either just kind of, random stuff here and there, or was just us, talking and laughing and chatting. But the Rosemont drive was a lot different because Daphne couldn't make it to the show. She had other prior commitments, and so her last show was in Indy. And then Jeb, well, he was already in Chicago. He already lives in Illinois. So yeah, it was a 4.5-hour solo drive for me, but that's okay. I was kind of thinking it was going to be really boring, which, I mean, it kind of was, but it just gave me a chance to just, be by myself and listen to Kiss and sing along as loud as I want to without anybody knowing. So if I was going to do a spotlight, I would do number 1, Kiss 40, which, I mean, at this point isn't really a surprise. I know I've spotlit Kiss 40 a few times on the show already, and I'm sure I will continue to, but that's because I leave it in the car now. I just always have a copy. I have the house copy, which stays in here in the collection, and then I have the one that I bought back in 2014 out in the car that I listen to pretty much at least once a week. I mean, I obviously have plenty of other CDs from other bands, but, the one in the car that stays is Kiss 40, and so it's just one of my favorite Kiss compilations, other than maybe Double Platinum, and then Kiss World's really grown on me. But no, obviously with 2 discs, 20 songs each, and you're going to go on a several hour, road trip, you want to have as much music as possible. And so Kiss 40 was a very long disc set. It obviously highlights Kiss's career pretty well, considering it has a song from every album and then some, both live and studio. So that was just really cool, because I usually will listen to that to get that all-encompassing, I can't even say it, all-encompassing, aspect of Kiss's career and their catalog. But there are a few times where I'll skip, for instance, maybe, that demo for Reputation, or, Beth, if I'm not feeling it. But this time I just let the whole thing ride. I mean, it was like, I'm going to my last Kiss show. We're celebrating 50 years of the band. That disc celebrated 40, and so it was just really cool to just listen to every single, or one single from every Kiss album, both live and studio, and then, a couple extra demos here and there, especially the God of Thunder demo with Paul on vocals. That's still such a trip into an alternate reality, listening to the Paul Stanley version, where it's a little bit more sped up and you have the, the fun hi-hat, and yeah, that's just really super cool. So that's one Kiss spotlight that I had this week. That's one album I listened to was Kiss 40. The other was actually the Creatures of the Night 40th anniversary 2-disc set, which came out last year, a couple years ago. Last year. And I wanted this because, again, I wanted something that was 2 discs, something that would last me a long time, something to really sink my teeth into. But I feel like when these anniversary releases come out, we Kiss fans, we buy them because A, it's new, B, we have fear of missing out. Oh, my buddy's got it, but I didn't get it. Now they're all sold out. So, we sometimes just buy these things to buy them. And, we'll do like reviews on the show or whatever if you have a show. And they kind of just get shoved on the shelf after that. I mean, how many times have you listened to your off the soundboard colored vinyl? I listened to, maybe once each, so I was like, I want to bring one of these, releases with me that's kind of brand new and just really sink my teeth into it. And so I chose the Creatures of the Night 2-disc CD set. I do wish this had more on it. I mean, obviously disc 1 comes with the full album remastered, but in disc 2 has several demos and rarities, outtakes, and then even a few live stuff, but it's nowhere near all the demos or even the demos that I want to hear. I swear that Penny Lane demo that Gene did for Feel Like Heaven is like one of my favorite Gene compositions, period. Not even gonna lie, I just love it. And I love how it became I'm an Animal from Sonic Boom 35, 30 years later. But that's not on here. It does have It's My Life, the original It's My Life, so that's really cool. You do have Not for the Innocent with both Gene and Paul on lead vocal. So there is still some stuff to, sink your teeth into, but there's a lot of stuff on here like Betrayed or Deadly Weapon, and even that other one, what's it called? I'm not sure which one it is right now, but there's another demo on there, but there's some with just no vocals, and so it's all instrumental. I think there's a I'm a Legend Tonight instrumental, which is, again, it's really cool, but I do wish I had more of the live stuff. Nevertheless, this definitely was great to accompany me on my trip. I really wish that they would do more of these. I'm hoping after the end of the road, they're more inclined, Universal, Kiss, whoever, they're more inclined to do some box sets because they were really onto something with the Creatures box set and the Destroyer box set. So no, that's what got me up to Rosemont. I think there was a few other albums I listened to by other bands, but this is a Kiss podcast, so I'll just keep it Kiss. That's what I want to spotlight, Kiss 40 and Kiss Creatures. So once I get to Rosemont and get through all the traffic, oh my gosh, I hate the city. I'm a country boy. In terms of I prefer to live out in the country and in the woods and, back roads. I do a lot of back road cruising. I don't like doing the whole, inner city, highway, interstate. It's bumper to bumper and it's just absolutely awful. So once that part was over, I actually get to the hotel. That's where the fun began because the first thing your boy did when he got to the hotel was go right to the pool. They didn't have a hot tub, which I thought was kind of stupid. Usually, hotels will have a hot tub and a pool, and the adults, all the kids want to play in the pool, but the adults just want to chill in the hot tub. And all I wanted to do was chill in the hot tub after, driving to and from Indy, seeing the Kiss show there and, working. And now I'm driving up to Rosemont. But no, just to hang out in the heated pool by myself. Again, I'm alone. My brother's not there yet. My wife is doing something else. It's just me. I'm having the time of my life. I think the best thing that we did was, hang on. The smartest thing, we'll get to the best thing that we did. The smartest thing that we did was get a hotel because usually we just drive up and we'll see a show and drive back home. Now, Indy, it's in our state, so it's not too bad. But I can think back to 2017 when we saw Kiss in Aurora on the Kiss World Tour. And as we all know, that Aurora is a suburb of Chicago. Excellent. Wayne's World reference. So we all know that Aurora is, pretty close to Chicago. And so it was about a 6-hour drive, I think. And we drove 6 hours up, 6 hours before the doors opened, saw Kiss perform for 2 hours, and then we drove 6 hours back and we didn't get a hotel. That would have been a good night to get a hotel. It was storming and it was one of the worst storms I've ever driven in. But somehow we did it. And I guess, when you're a little bit younger, you're willing to do that. But it was nice to actually get a hotel and not worry about traveling. Now that the traveling's already happened, you can relax. Jeb arrived shortly after. It's funny how he lives in Illinois and lives way closer. It took him longer to get there. That's fine, whatever. So once he got there, the fun could really begin. Obviously, we're going to head over to the show. The doors are going to open in about an hour's time from now. And before we actually headed to the venue, we got to see Randall again. I mentioned Randall in the last video. He's a big fan of our show, a huge fan of Kiss. And so we met up with him at the Indianapolis show, and it was really cool to see him again at the Rosemont show. And we just sat in the lobby and just talked about Kiss, talked about the crazy traffic. And this time we did get a picture. I mentioned how we didn't get a picture in Indianapolis because everybody was so rushed, and we were kind of late getting in, so I made sure to get a picture with him this time. And because that's what it's all about is, obviously, yes, the band, but it's also about, the people that you meet along the way and get to hang out with. And of course, this was the ultimate meetup, the ultimate hangout. So, yeah, we're just enjoying being at Rosemont, being at the hotel. We were going to actually walk to the venue because the hotel was, I think, maybe a 5-minute drive from the venue and maybe a 15-minute walk. And we're thinking, okay, yeah, 5 minutes, except for the fact that you're going to spend 30 minimum trying to navigate through the traffic and get into the venue, get into parking, and then walk all the way to the venue. We said, no, why would we do that when we can just, walk half that time, and we kind of forgot that this is Chicago, this is Rosemont, this is Illinois, it's November, it's the Windy City, and boy, was it brisk, to say the least. I mean, it was, probably, I think 16 degrees, 17 degrees out, and we said, nah, we're not doing that. We'll get an Uber before we do that. So luckily, Jeb, being the, the city guy and knowing the way around and all that, got an Uber, and we got over to the show. And as soon as we got into the venue, our first task was to meet up with the group. We had planned everybody from Right Between the Eyes and Brant from In My Head, Emily from her channel, and we all planned to meet up and hang out before the show because we didn't have seats next to each other. At least, not all of us did. So we wanted to make sure we had time to hang out. Randall joined us. Brant brought his friend Scott, who's been in some videos with him. And of course, we got to meet Emily, her mom, and her mom's friend. So that was just really cool to meet everybody. We got a nice group picture, but it was definitely a fun time and a fun conversation before the show, just meeting with everybody for the first time, except for Rob. Rob was the one that I met. He was the only one that I had met already in person. So I made sure to give Rob a big hug when I met him because it had been probably a year and a half since we met, but just getting to see everybody else, and I was like, oh wow, everybody has legs. You're not just a little head in a box on a screen. It was just really cool to be in person with everybody. And so we did a little bit of chatting and talking, and I know some of us had gone to the merch line. I did not, but at that time it was time to go to our seats because Amber Wild was about to hit the stage. And I gotta say, I was not impressed with this venue or its layout. The staff was nice. I will say that the staff was great, but the layout of this venue blew. I mean, it was like being in a high school in a bad dream where, you're trying to go to your class, but you can't find your class and the bell's about to ring and you're going to be late, but you're just walking down endless hallways and there's no classrooms. And I don't know if anybody else has had that dream, but it just felt like being lost in high school again. There was no sense of direction, and you had tons of stairs that were just blocked off. You couldn't go that way, which our seats were upstairs, and it was just a weird place to navigate. But I must say, the good thing that came out of that was while we were, I think Jeb and I did a loop and then another loop before we actually were able to find even remotely where our seats were. So as we're walking around aimlessly trying to find our seats, we did run into our good friend Johnny. And you guys might remember Johnny as the winner of last year's Kissmas giveaway. We've been friends for a while. We met at the Kiss Expo, and we usually end up meeting somehow, some way at these Kiss events, expos, and concerts. And we didn't get to really hang out the last time because we didn't meet him until we were actually leaving the venue, like in the car, seeing him waving hi. So it was really good to see him and his wife and chat. And of course, we did get a picture there. Made sure to capture that memory, and just, we're sitting there standing there talking about Kiss while everybody's trying to, go up and down creek, and we're just kind of sitting there off to the side chatting about Kiss. And, I hear Amber Wild coming on. It's like, all right, we got to go. It was good seeing you. And yeah, so unfortunately, because of the weird layout of the venue and, just getting in there being kind of crazy, I unfortunately missed Breakout from Amber Wild for the second and only time. Which is their opener. It's my favorite song of theirs. They don't really have a handful of songs yet, but of the ones I've heard, that one is absolutely fantastic. Not just because, it's Paul's son, not just because, oh, it's, here live or it's brand new. No, it's good because it's good. And so if you guys haven't, I would recommend going over to Spotify and checking out Breakout by Amber Wild. There's a second single, Silver, that has really grown on me too. I absolutely love that song. It's super infectious. Once you let it get in under your skin and your bones, it stays there. I absolutely love Silver, but Breakout, in terms of just heat, energy, and rock, that one does it for me. So I really wanted to see it live. I could at least hear it this time. I could hear them playing it, and I was singing along to it. But by the time we actually got in there and got to our seat, that song was over. They were already into the other songs, but it was still really good to see Amber Wild again because we saw them in Indianapolis. We didn't get to see their full set, so I did get to see more of their set this time. But I really do think that they are a good band, and I hope that they're able to do more and be more. It could be one of those things where, respectfully, Amber Wild could be like a stepping stone to another thing. He was in the Dives. Evan was in the Dives before, and then is now in Amber Wild. Just like, Kiss was once Wicked Lester and then became Kiss, and we know Peter Criss was in Lips and Chelsea and other groups. So those things happen. Bands form and disband and form. So, but I hope that Amber Wild is able to grow and continue doing what they're doing because I like their music. They have a song called Constant Constellations. They have Three Shakes, which is really good. Three Shakes or Lover could be the next single, and I wouldn't mind just because those are such good songs. One moment, please. It's a good thing I have Gene Simmons' Moneybag Soda with me because it's just me today. I'm doing a whole lot of talking, and my mouth is going to get dry. So hang on just one moment while I get a taste of this sweet, sweet Moneybag Soda. Okay, so this is the part where things get really interesting. I mentioned in the beginning how, the smartest thing we did was getting the hotel, but I stopped myself when I said the best thing because this is the best thing that we did, okay? So if you watched the last episode I did, or that we did all together, you may have already heard this. So I'm not trying to repeat everything I said in that last one, but obviously it was the same show. So I did mention this, and we mentioned this in the last one, but I'm going to tell the full story right now because this was not on the itinerary. This was not planned. This is one of those things that just kind of happens in the moment, and you're glad for it. So, like I said, we get to our seats. We're way up top. When we bought these tickets back in May, we knew that having seen 7 at that time shows on this tour, that it would be best financially to just go ahead and secure nosebleed tickets, up top tickets. That way, we can focus on the hotel, right? Gas and other things, food, since usually we don't ever really worry about hotel and all that. So we said, well, let's do things a little bit differently, and we'll just go ahead and get seats kind of up top. And I don't know, we weren't feeling it. We were not feeling it. Everybody else we were with, in terms of like the other podcasters and everything, everybody else had really good seats. Emily and Brant could literally see the entire stage from where they were, almost down the middle. And so, obviously that's a great view just of the whole stage, left, right, top, and bottom. Rob, Nick, and Nico were a section below us and to the right, so they were obviously more on the ground level, a little bit closer, had an awesome view of the stage. Meanwhile, Jeb and I, we're just up top, looking down and to the right where our seats were, and we're cramped in between people who, when we go to a Kiss show, I like to, fist bump, and I like to headbang, and I like to sing. And I could already tell that these were not the people that these are the folks that are going to sit there with their arms folded. They're not even going to stand up, because there were some people standing up during Amber Wild's set, and I wanted to stand up and clap and cheer, especially and sing the songs I knew. But I could already tell that the folks around me were just not going to be into it. And I even tried talking to them about the Kiss Spotlight, like, hey, we have these colored filters, put it over your flashlight, it'll shine the Kiss color, let's go out with a bang. And it was just not well received. And so, passing out buttons and the Kiss Spotlight, I could tell that it just wasn't going to be all that fun up here where we were. And so we kind of got over it after a minute. It was like, okay, whatever, we'll just, stick to each other. It's my brother. All that matters is my brother's here. And we're seeing our last Kiss show. It's not canceled. Paul's better. Everything's fine. So we're kind of just getting over it and settling at this point when after their set, Amber Wild's set, the lights come back on, we're looking down, and Kiss is about to go on, in about, at this point, maybe, 15 minutes or so. Kiss is going on, and we're looking down at the floor, and in the very back of the section, there were 2 whole rows with nobody in them. So you can imagine being in a stadium where it's, again, one of Kiss's last shows ever, and the place is packed. You're looking around, and there's not a seat open, except for when you look down on the floor. And in the very, very, very back, just the last 2 rows, completely empty. And we're thinking, what is the deal? Is that whole group like a family and they're just all at the merch stand, or they're all getting a drink, or, we're all thinking, are they late, or just what's going on? So we literally got on our phones and just went ahead and pulled up KOL and went to the website where you can see, Ticketmaster, where you can see the dots and the layout of the venue. And we're looking to see, what's sold, what's not sold. And the entire arena is grayed out, meaning that those tickets have been bought. But those 2 rows were blue, meaning everything else had been sold, but literally these 2 rows, nobody had bought tickets for. And so we're looking at, just going, what? What is the deal? And then we start thinking about it. Maybe we could get those tickets. Maybe we should go and see if we can, upgrade tickets or get better tickets. And, if we're not enjoying our view up here, we want good views like everybody else we're with and hanging out with, let's see what strings we can pull. So we went and found a staff member and said, hey, look, here's our dilemma. We have these tickets. We noticed that these tickets are for sale. We want them. Where do we get them? He said, the box office is across the street. If I were you, I would hurry. So we literally just ran straight across the street to the box office. Thankfully, nobody else was there except for that nice gentleman at the front desk who's just on his computer. We said, hey, look, again, we have these tickets. We don't want them. We want these tickets. Are they available? He goes, yes, absolutely. And so thank you, Jeb, if you're watching this episode, even though you're not in it. If you're watching this, thank you so much, because Jeb is the one that actually bought the tickets. We had planned on doing sound check for this show because we were the only ones that didn't get to do sound check. Brant and Rob, Nick, and Nico all did the sound check package, and so we didn't decide to until last minute. And of course, last minute they were already sold out, so we didn't get to. But at this point, it's like, well, we'll just take the money that we were gonna spend on sound check and spend it on these tickets, except I just couldn't swing it. And, Jeb, being a bro, man, being a true brother, was just like, hey, I got it. You can pay me back over time. You get to me when you get to me. We're going to see Kiss, and we're not going to settle for anything less than the best. We're going 24th row. So I can get the ticket real quick. Hang on just one second. Yeah, so here it is. Here is the physical ticket. Now, I don't think we've gotten a physical ticket since... Well, I think maybe 2020. I think 2020, right before COVID, was the last time I was able to get a physical ticket. I've never just been able to find the option of getting a physical ticket unless you, of course, go to the box office. And so this time we did. We went to the box office and secured physical tickets for our last Kiss show. I really, really, really wish I would have been able to get a physical ticket for the Indianapolis show. But nevertheless, it was super cool to have. It almost felt like that scene from Detroit Rock City where, you get the tickets handed to you, and then the guy's like, okay, then, and everything goes slow motion. It really did feel like that for a minute. So that was super awesome. This is starting off to be a great Kiss show, am I right? So we get the ticket. We head right back into the venue as soon as we can. We almost had to go through security, which we were kind of bummed because we've already been through security. And we've already been, through all that. And so we just want to get to the show because, again, Kiss is coming on very, very soon. And so we're waiting in line trying to get through. And we're almost about to just, hey, we've done this. We're good. Just kind of dip by. So we start to dip by security. And they catch us, hey, come back here. And the one guy that we had talked to before we left who said, you better hurry. I'll let you guys out the door. Just go to the box office and then, come back in before the doors actually do close. And so he vouched for us because we try to sneak by, and he goes, nope, they're good. They're with me. They're good. Come on, go. And we're like, dude, thank you so much. He goes, did you guys get the tickets? We said, yes, dude, we did. And he gives, high fives, enjoy the show. Super cool guy. So again, the staff there was pretty cool, even if the venue sucked. Anyway, so we head back in to the floor, and we're just walking down, down, down to the floor, and then of course there it is, man, the stage, the curtain. We're no longer way up top looking down with our heads cocked to the right. Now we're actually on the floor looking up and seeing the last Kiss stage, the last stage that we're ever going to see. So of course, before the lights go down, though, Jeb just happened to mention this. This is crazy. Everything this night is crazy. The whole night was crazy. But Jeb just happened to say, you know what? I wonder if Tommy Sommers is running around here. Tommy Sommers is one of the hosts from Three Sides of the Coin. He goes, I see sometimes, Tommy's running around these things, taking photos and just hanging out. So I wonder if there he is right there. And so it was just crazy. So in the middle of his sentence, as he's looking for Tommy Sommers, right behind us, which I guess, yeah, so right behind us is Tommy Sommers from Three Sides of the Coin. So Jeb almost just, as it were, pushes me out of the way, like, I gotta say hi. And I'm like, yeah, totally, me too. So, Jeb goes up, shakes his hand, hey man, love your show, love Three Sides, cool to meet you. And so Tommy was really, really cool, really, really nice, and shook our hands, gave us a couple pics. I'll show those later on at the show. But was just a really, really cool guy, and said, enjoy the show, have safe travels, get with me after the show, send some pictures, and it was really, really cool to meet Tommy, because for me, and I think Jeb too, Three Sides of the Coin was the first Kiss podcast that we ever watched. I know, at least for me, and it was the same year I started, Kiss Army things on Facebook. I was in high school, and here they are 10 years later still doing their podcast, which is super awesome, because I'm pretty sure, this might sound weird, but it's true. I'm serious. I'm pretty sure that Three Sides of the Coin was the first time I ever heard any adult actually acknowledge or validate Tommy and Eric. How sad is that? I had never, up until 2013, I had never heard anybody over the age of 18, other than my dad, who, was all about Kiss every era, and really loved the current lineup for, continuing on with what the original lineup couldn't. So, it just seemed like everybody else was just not against it. And so that was something we had to just kind of, not really keep to ourselves, but enjoy ourselves. And so I can think back to, freaking out when I heard them on Three Sides talking about, yeah, I love Sonic Boom and Monster. Yeah, I went and saw shows on the Sonic Boom tour, Hottest Show on Earth tour, and, Motley Crue and Def Leppard, or Motley Crue and Kiss. I was like, wow, that's remarkable. I've never heard anybody over the age of 18, other than, again, my dad and maybe a few others. So that was really, really cool. And then we actually had ran into Mark and Tommy at a previous show. I mentioned that Aurora show earlier. It was at that show when we were pulling into the parking lot looking for, a place to park. We actually saw Mark and Tommy as they were headed over to what I'm assuming was the VIP acoustic show and the meet and greet and all that. So, but it was really cool just to say hi and wave to them. But this time we actually got to, talk to Tommy for a minute, and I'm sure he was there to capture some of the opening shots. But yeah, so at that point, the lights are going down. The music is playing. It's almost rock and roll by Led Zeppelin, which, Jeb and I at this point are feeling, there's always an anticipation, right? When you're at a Kiss show and you're about to see Kiss go on. But knowing it's your last Kiss show, knowing this is the last time you're going to hear the hum and watch the curtain drop and see the band descend in person in the same room, it hit hard, but it wasn't a sadness. It was a, let's do this. I'm ready. I'm ready to see this. And so it's from the moment the curtain dropped, Jeb and I were just into it all the way, which again, we always are. But now, now that that there's a day on it and there's a timer on it, you just can't help but want to just live in the moment and just be there and everybody around us was kind of like that too. I mentioned how some of the folks up top, just the vibe felt weird, but on the floor, everybody was like looking around at each other, and we were high fiving and just cheering and singing, and it was just absolutely incredible. And not only that, but the band themselves was incredible. And again, I'm not going to say anything that hasn't been said already about Kiss and their show and their ability to get the crowd going, but I just mean, even for what Kiss is already, they were better than that. And I had just saw a show 2 nights prior, but this one it felt like they were just in another world, man. They were in a different pocket. They were on another level and just going above and beyond. I think Nick, in our last episode that we did, the Rosemont Round Table, he said something that I think made perfect sense. He said that Paul that night was like an Olympic athlete who, goes out there and just lays it all out there, gives it all and nothing less, leaves nothing behind. And it felt like the whole band was doing that. It felt like the whole band was trying to keep up with the crowd, because if I had to say, the crowd was one of the best crowds I've ever been to. Not just Kiss, any band, any show. The only other Kiss crowd I can think of that was just as crazy as this was that Louder Than Life show that Jeb and I went to, that festival where people were just crowd surfing and going absolutely ballistic. That was pretty crazy, and this was like the indoor version of that. So you can imagine how crazy everybody's going. And so there were moments where Paul would just look around and smile, pat his heart, and then even one time got in the mic and said, "This is awesome." He said, "This is awesome. There has never been anything like this on the whole entire tour." And I've seen 9 shows on this tour, and he's absolutely right. Usually, and Paul does a really good job, right, at, getting the crowd to scream, cheer, clap your hands. You hear Gene, "Let me hear ya," and Paul, "Let me see your hands," all that stuff. And, they really know how to get the crowd going. I mean, they could have said none of that at Rosemont, and everything would have been fine, because the crowd just, "We got you, Kiss. We got you. It's fine." Everybody was cheering. Everybody was at an 11 when Paul does the divide the crowd. I mean, it was just absolutely insane. Again, I've seen 16 Kiss shows, 9 on this tour. None of them were like that. And so at this moment, Jeb and I are just smiling ear to ear, man. We can't help ourselves. It's pandemonium. The band's on fire. The crowd's on fire. And speaking of fire, this part always throws me off. I don't know when this started, but it still gave me a bit of anxiety when Gene, after War Machine, does not spit fire anymore. Ever since, I think, 2012, 2013, War Machine has been the song where Gene will breathe fire to. It used to be, Firehouse and even Hotter Than Hell. But that was the song that he had been spitting fire to for quite a long time, War Machine. And so they play War Machine, and Gene doesn't spit fire, and I'm thinking, like, yeah, that happened at the last show, and I was freaking out, so maybe he will, but I can't think of what song it is, and of course, it's I Love It Loud. Why do I keep forgetting? I don't know. It just seems more natural that he would breathe fire after War Machine, because it sounds more of like a, hardcore demon song, even though I Love It Loud is another song off Preachers. I've always known it to be War Machine, but maybe War Machine at this point is just too early in the set, being like the 4th song or whatever. But it still throws me off. So Jeb and I were like, wait, what? We're not going to see Gene breathe fire? But no, we absolutely did get to see Gene breathe fire one last time. And it was totally epic. As well as Making Love. That song was one of the highlights. We saw it in Indy. They kept it again, for Rosemont. I think it made its way into the set this past summer when they were doing the European tour. I don't know. I'm just glad that it stayed, because I think that, contrary to what you will hear from the Kiss haters, Kiss has done a very good job at balancing their main set with songs like Rock City, Love Gun, Rock and Roll All Night, Lick It Up, Shout It Out Loud, and blending that with songs that you don't get to hear a lot. I can think back to the Hottest Show on Earth tour when it was Crazy Nights. Even back when War Machine on the tour was the new song. It's not new anymore, but it was at the time. Heaven's on Fire is in this current set list, and it hasn't been in the main set list since the Monster Tour 10 years prior. So, they're doing a really good job at, sprinkling in songs. They did, what was it, Flaming Youth a few years ago, and Hide Your Heart on the 40th anniversary tour. So, yeah, there's all kinds of songs that are coming in now. Hide Your Heart, Tears Are Falling, Parasite, Let Me Go Rock and Roll have all been played on this tour and Come and Gone, Crazy Nights. So I think, contrary to what most people want to believe, Kiss has done a very good job over the last 10, 12 years at moving things around in the set, whether that's effects like Gene spitting fire, or just songs like Detroit Rock City being either in the opener or in the closer, and then adding in certain songs and taking out certain songs. I think Kiss has done a pretty good job at that. Even though I do think we all agree that on this last tour they could have maybe done a little bit more, since the crowds that you're seeing are more, diehard, reoccurring diehards. Nevertheless, you are still going to have your concert casuals, your rock casuals, and the people that have never seen Kiss live and honestly deserve to and need to see songs like Black Diamond, where you have the theatrical production God of Thunder and some of those songs. So I don't really blame them for keeping the same set that they do. I just make sure to be really happy when they change it up. And so having Making Love in the set was definitely a highlight. Other than the Indianapolis show, it was one that I've never seen live. Probably never will, obviously, at this point. Thought the band did great. Especially loved the graphics they had on screen. I know some people might think it's a little too much and a little too intense, but I actually like it just because it's total 70s, total rock and roll over, total cartoon comic book fun. So I think what they're doing with the visuals right now is absolutely top tier. One more thing about Making Love, though, because my favorite part has always been that really huge drum fill that Peter Criss did on the studio version, where he basically just starts from here and goes all the way down the kit until he gets to about here. And so Eric Singer, when he does that fill, he doesn't quite have as many toms, doesn't really, I guess, need that many toms as Peter Criss did in the 70s. I don't think Peter did either. But either way, Eric, what he does was he'll do the 2 toms over here, the 2 here, and the 2 here. And then for the last few notes, he uses his feet. And that is the most Eric Singer thing ever. I absolutely love it. I knew he was going to do it. And so when he did it, it was just pure satisfaction. I think Eric Singer's double bass kick is the best double bass kick. You say a double bass kick is a double bass kick. I say nobody's double bass kick is Eric Singer's double bass kick. Something about it is absolutely awesome, especially when he's doing his drum solo and he just holds out that double bass walk and he kind of cleans his hands off and points at the camera. That stuff is really, really cool. So yeah, Eric Singer on fire, Tommy Thayer on fire. The whole band is just absolutely killing it. One random thing, I think I might have mentioned this in the Rosemont episode, but I didn't really go too in depth on it. This is really weird and funny. I don't know where Gene got this or where he started doing this, when he started doing this, but we all know that after the song Dr. Love, he always finishes it with, "'Cause I am the doctor of love," and then it's a big, finish. So now, and what he's been doing, he did it in Indianapolis, Rosemont, and I'm assuming Baltimore. And I think I saw him do it in night 1 of Madison Square Garden. Is after the song and when he's doing the, "Do you know why? Do you know why?" He says, "Hey, little girl, do you know why?" And then he mimics the girl's voice. He goes, "I don't know why. No, I don't know." And it's just like, it's totally Gene, and it's because he's always been good at voices and characters and whatever, and he just he's having fun with it and being funny. But I just don't know where that started, how that started, if that happened in rehearsal and then just leaked out on stage one night, or if it was an intrusive thought and just he let it happen and then kept rolling with it. I don't know. I'd like to know what Paul thinks of it, because it's one of those things where you can just kind of see Paul just, as it were, face palming. But no, it's hilarious, man. Gene's like, "No, I don't know why." I didn't get a video of it in Rosemont, but I did get a video of it in Indianapolis, and it's just absolutely funny. So it's cool to see Kiss, breaking the mold a little bit, having a lot of fun. Before Paul introduced "Do You Love Me," he made a good point. He was like, all the songs on Destroyer, they say something. Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World, God of Thunder, Shout It Out Loud. In Indianapolis, he even said, he said, "What's that song with all the singing, the kids singing? Great Expectations." Yeah, that one. So he was naming all the songs off, and he said all those songs say something, but only one song on that album asks something, and that is "Do You Love Me?" And so I thought that was a really cool intro. And I'll be honest, "Do You Love Me?" I think sounded better than ever. I think Daphne and I have said on the show that it's one that, even though we love that song, we'd be okay if it was, permanently replaced with Crazy Nights or an '80s song, or another song in the encore. But when it's your last Kiss show and you're seeing these songs live for the last time, they're just hitting different. Say Yeah, even Say Yeah, a song where people will say, oh, it's a dead moment in the show, or it's not the best choice. I think it went over super well and has gone over super well in this last stretch of the tour. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's just me and my personal, perception of it. But I obviously love Sonic Boom, and I love Monster, and I love Current Kiss. I love Tommy and Eric's Kiss. That's my Kiss. And to hear that song live still is great. I can think back to where everybody said, "Yo, yeah, they're going to release an album and then, play them for one tour and never play them again." It's like, no, Hell or Hallelujah ended up on a live album. Say Yeah made it to the end of the road tour, and I think they even brought it back for the Kiss World Tour. So it's really cool to see the newer era Kiss being represented, even though I know it's not going to be more than one song. When you have 50 years and you have to, cover every base, some bases are going to be covered more than others, but it's still cool to see 90s Kiss with Psycho Circus, and then, modern Kiss with Say Yeah in the set list. Even songs like Cold Gin, which are already top 10 or, top tier songs, even those songs sounded even better. At this point, just every song sounded great. And even, the other things part of the show, again, because we're so close that it's not the closest we've ever been. The closest we'd ever seen was 6th row, and this is 24th row. So, yeah, big difference between 6 and 24. But to be 24th when you thought that you were way up there in the back where the wall is, it's a pretty good feeling. So at this point, we're on just cloud nine, man. Having the best time. I'm looking over, and before the show, I could see where Rob and Nick and Nico were. So I'm looking over at them. I can see them having a good time. And I just know Brant and Emily are as well, and Scott and Emily's mom and her friend. And just what a moment, man. What a time to be there. And at this point in the show, Paul Stanley's doing his, if you want me to come out there, say my name as loud as you can. And even though we were already cheering in between, so Paul was just standing there like, it's my script to say my name 3 times, and you guys are already doing it for me. You're making my job both easy and hard. He had a nice, big smile on his face and was loving. He goes, look at this. And so he goes to fly out. And it was at that moment that I realized that based on his current trajectory, he was going directly over us. And I mean directly over us. He's gone directly over us before. A little to the left, a little to the right. Okay, fine. No. This was directly over us. I always like to get a video of Paul when he flies out to that B stage. And this time is no different. It's the last time, right? And I'm holding my phone here, watching as he's getting closer and closer. And I'm just looking perfectly at Paul Stanley and all his awesomeness. And then I look at my camera and realize that I'm filming nothing. There is nothing in my frame, because it can't be, because Paul is so close that he just can't be contained in the frame, man. So we turn around to see him on his B stage, and I'm not even kidding you when I say that we are 2nd row from the B stage. We're 24th row overall, and there was 25 rows in that section. So the person behind us became the person in front row for Paul's B stage. But again, when you're standing literally 20 feet, 30 feet from Paul Stanley, and he's up there doing his shaking, and his he got that face where he's just in the zone and waving at the crowd, and it was definitely a moment. I'm surprised I wasn't tearing up. I did not shed a single tear at this show. I must have been so busy having fun, but I'm really surprised, because I've cried for less at Kiss shows, and I've cried because of less at Kiss shows. So I'm surprised that I wasn't shedding a tear, but it was just an absolute amazing thing to see Paul Stanley. And what was even crazier was that Evan Stanley was right there side stage watching his dad. I thought that was the most incredible thing, was looking over at the crowd, seeing their reaction, and then just happening to see Evan right there, looking up at his dad, admiring, probably studying and just appreciating what his dad is and does and is doing. And so it was just really, really cool to see Evan have that moment. I think the rest of the band was down there too. Some of the other guys, Jacob and Thomas, and I think Marshall was his name, I don't know. But so to see everybody down there having a good time, especially Evan, who had that, that's my dad look on his face. How cool is that? Was absolutely magical. And so Paul does both Love Gun and I Was Made for Loving You from the B-side, which is cool. Usually he would just, fly out and then fly back. So it's cool to have him stay out there a little longer and kind of, make more use of that stage. And plus what they're doing with the lights and all that is just absolutely top tier. So lots of, special moments happening at this Kiss show. One in particular was towards the end where there was a moment where Gene and Paul stood to the side. They were on the right side of the stage. Gene was standing there just kind of with his bass off to the side, and he was, standing there with his arms folded, just looking out, and you could tell that he was kind of taking it all in and just, like, this is our fourth to last show, and, there are people here just screaming and having a good time even after 50 years of us playing a lot of the same songs, and, I'm still breathing fire, I'm still doing this, we're still doing that, and yet there's still people that want to see it. You could tell that he was, having a moment. And then Paul came and joined him. I may have a picture of it or something similar, but Paul came up and joined him and was almost, kind of crossing his arms, and they were both just looking out together with this idea of, look what we've done. Look at who we are and where we're at and what we've not only gotten to do, but are continuing to do and have been able to do. And you could tell that it was just a really unique moment for them, because again, I've seen plenty of Kiss shows. I know you guys have too, okay? And even if you haven't been to one in person, you've watched them online, you've seen them on DVDs, and Kiss is very grateful for us, the Kiss Army, and where they are in life, but they're also used to it, right? So it's like, yeah, we're Kiss, we're the best. So to see them taking time to just look around and be like, we did this, we are this, was truly awesome. And like I said, I think we got a nice picture of that. At least I hope, because it was super awesome. But now we're getting to the end of the show where it's the big finale. Fireworks are going off. And it was amazing to be rained on during the confetti shower. It's always fun to be down there on the floor when it rains confetti. And this time was no exception. Again, it's your last time. It's our last time. So we have to enjoy the moment. And we were thinking, because the tickets we had bought were way up there, that we were just going to watch as, the confetti was blasted into the air and, everybody down on the floor was, having a good time or whatever. And we didn't get to have that again, but we actually did get to. And I know that sounds so simple and so, minuscule, but it's just another aspect of the Kiss show, is being there when it's raining confetti and you're singing Rock and Roll All Night at the top of your lungs. Everybody's clapping. I love to get a video of Daphne, Jeb, and I, whoever it is, of us singing, because it's like, I want to capture this moment, because this is a moment. It's like the moment of a Kiss show. And so we're just, taking it all in, knowing that these are our last moments of our last Kiss show. And even after the show ended, we kind of hung around the venue area for a little bit, just hanging out, because you don't want to leave. I mean, it's your last Kiss show, and it's over, and so it's like, man, they're going to drag me kicking and screaming out of here, because I just want to stay here forever. And so, the road crew starts taking things down. People are throwing confetti in the air and talking about, wow, this part of the show, that part of the show. And it's just, again, another magical time, even if the show is over. And so we actually got to see Tommy Sommers again on our way out. We were leaving the seating area and going out to the, the lobby, the general area. And on our way out, we happened to see Tommy Sommers again, who saw us, and we made sure to say hi again and say bye. And he said, have safe travels. And, that was really cool, because he was, I'm sure very super busy. So for him to, see us again and take time to say hi, say bye was super cool. And we made sure before we left to meet back up with everybody at the same spot we met at the beginning, and got another group shot of all of us. So we have one before the show, one after the show, and we had a great time just standing around chatting about how awesome the show was, how incredible it was, and started coordinating how we were actually going to film the episode, because this is the craziest part of the whole thing, because we had wanted to, as best as we could, all of us podcasters wanted to, get together and try and film a video and do our own little recap of the show and just talk about how awesome it is to be together and just, capture that moment, right? So we decided to go back to the Holiday Inn where we were staying and wanted to do the episode there. And it was one of those things that, we had talked about for months. Like, yeah, we're going to do it. It's going to be awesome. And I'm thinking, yeah, once we get there, we're all just going to be too tired. And it's like, yeah, maybe we can, just do a Zoom call afterwards in a couple weeks and we'll talk about it. Yeah, that'd be fine. But no, we actually did, set aside time to get together and film an episode. And I got to be really honest and thankful to the Holiday Inn staff, because they were so cool about it. Because in my mind, we would just go back to one of our rooms, right, and just, film the episode there and, maybe set up some Kiss stuff and, make a thing out of it. But there really wasn't a good way to film in a hotel room when it's just beds. And, what's it going to be, a bunch of grown dudes on a bed talking about Kiss, as if it wasn't weird enough, right? So we were like, well, how are we going to do that? Where are we going to film? And so I thought, well, maybe, or somebody thought maybe we could film in one of the meeting rooms or the conference rooms. And so I had asked the staff, and they said that was a no-go because it had to be rented. It had to be rented, had to be scheduled, and it wasn't fair, even though it was 1 a.m, and nobody had it scheduled. It's just not fair for everybody else. So I was like, I get it, that's cool, that's fine. But they said, go ahead and use our common area. Feel free to use the lobby area, the common area, as much as you want. And I said, what? Are you serious? Because I was thinking, me walking up like, hey, my buddies and I, we want to film a Kiss podcast and talk about Kiss. They're like, no, you can't do that here. This is a public area for people. You can't distract people and, annoy people or, cause too much ruckus and noise. And, no, they were like, go ahead, do whatever. Set up, have fun. You can move chairs around, tables around, have at it. And so it was just absolutely amazing to sit around with friends, and we all drank a bottle of Moneybag soda, and we talked about Kiss. I made sure to bring up a box of Moneybag soda that I had bought just for everybody, just for us, just for that moment. And yeah, so it was truly something, just being able to sit with everybody in person as opposed to being on screen like we had for so many months, and actually do what we said we were going to do. And that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, after that, we obviously everybody went their separate ways. We went to bed, we woke up, and I know I had a 4.5-hour drive home, but I gotta be honest, the drive home was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, because I was thinking the whole way back was going to be miserable, because it's the exact opposite of the ride there. When I'm going there to meet everybody, I'm going home, I've already met them. I'm going there to see Kiss, I have a Kiss concert to see. I'm going home having seen my last, with no other Kiss shows to actually see in person. So I was thinking, man, that ride home is going to be just absolutely depressing. But I gotta be honest, there was a certain level of peace to it. Knowing that the show was a perfect 10, knowing that I got to meet everybody, and knowing that we got to, share that memory together and, film that podcast, capturing that moment forever and just talking about our initial reactions, and, being there with my brother, and, we got to meet Tommy Sommers, and all these different things were just lining up. We got a really nice hotel room, and, there was nothing crazy on the way up as far as traffic goes, or as far as, wrecks go and all that. It was like everything just seemed to go really super well. And knowing that was my last Kiss show, I'm content with that. I was actually thinking before the show, before even Indianapolis, if Indianapolis and Rosemont get canceled, and I've already seen my last Kiss show, what was the last thing that I heard Paul Stanley say? Well, it would have been... And I'm thinking, yeah, that's not really a bad way to go out. But no, I don't want to have already seen my Last Kiss show. I still want to see my Last Kiss show. So even though I would have been very content with any of the shows I've seen prior, I knew how special it was that I got to have these last two, considering that there were so many others who, unfortunately, due to the cancellations, did not. And that was not lost on me. I wanted to make sure to not take that for granted and enjoy the band, enjoy the music. And so, yeah, that drive home was surprisingly very peaceful. There's been a level of fun, knowing, oh, is it my Last Kiss show? Ha ha ha, because we saw 3 shows on the initial leg and thought that was going to be it. And then, every show afterwards was kind of just for fun. But to actually know that that was the last time, and to know that it was the way it was, and to know that I got the best pictures I've ever gotten, the best videos. I met a lot of my friends and I got to make so many memories. Yeah, it was definitely the piece that I was not expecting, but I'm happy it's here. Now, I will probably be an absolute mess during the pay-per-view, and for you guys, it already happened. I'm filming on a Saturday, so I have pay-per-view for me is in a couple hours. I have to edit this and then, check out the pay-per-view, but for you guys, it'll all have already happened. But I'm sure, maybe it'll be different when it's the actual Last Kiss show. But I was just having the time of my life in Rosemont, and so I want to go ahead and start wrapping this up and get into some of the things that I got, because I mentioned earlier that even though I didn't go to the merch booth and buy anything, that doesn't mean I walked away empty-handed. No. As a matter of fact, I got quite a bit of things. So I already mentioned how we met Tommy Sommers, which was super awesome. And while we were talking and chatting, he gave us some guitar picks, or a guitar pick, one for me, one for Jeb. And it's probably one of the coolest picks I've ever seen. So I'll get it as close to my camera as I can, and I'll just maybe zoom in if I have to. But it says, the last tour ever, End of the Road. It's very shiny red, which means, yes, it is a Gene Simmons pick. And I have never seen these picks before, so it does say 2023, so I guess that does make sense. I haven't seen Kiss yet in 2023, except for those Indianapolis and Rosemont shows, so I guess it makes sense. But yeah, I had never seen these picks before, so when you gave them to me, I was like, oh my gosh, is this like a special pick that only you got? But no, I think, if you were at Soundcheck, or if you, got one of the ones that they flicked, it probably looked like this, and it is absolutely super cool. One of the coolest guitar picks I've ever seen by far. And actually, after the show, I got another pick. So Jeb and I tried to get some picks on the floor up front, because Gene and Paulie always flick picks throughout the whole show, and then even the stage crew will sometimes throw picks out. Well, they didn't really do a whole lot of pick throwing, and when they did, it wasn't to us. So we were kind of bummed, but on our way out, we noticed that the guy at the soundboard was handing out a few picks, and he was doing it very discreetly. So it looked like he didn't want anybody to know or see. And so we walk up, and we're just kind of standing there with our hands out, like, please, please, please. And he gives a couple of kids some picks. And so I'm thinking, okay, that's fine. Give the kids the picks. That's really cool. Make a memory for them. That's fine. I'm an adult. I'll live. But I noticed in his hand, he still has maybe 3 or 4. And so I tell Jeb, stick your hand out. And so we stick our hands out, and Jeb gets one, and he tries to skip me. And I held my hand out. I was like, please, can I have a pick? Would you mind? I love Kiss. I would love to have a pick. Please, thank you so much. Almost like begging, if you will. And he does give me the pick, but he looks at me and makes eye contact and just puts it in my hand. And what he's saying with his eyes is, grow up. You're a grown man, don't you know that? You shouldn't be begging for a pick here. But I didn't care, because I wanted that guitar pick. And so here it is. It's another 2023 specific pick. So that's really cool. It has a nice graphic of the band. Very good print. I have a couple other ones that don't quite look this high quality. But yeah, I'm amazed at how detailed that can be for a guitar pick, as small as that is. And it's also another Gene one. So you can see on the back there, Gene Simmons, End of the Road Tour 2023. That was absolutely awesome. And I was able to actually get a bag of confetti. If you know me, I I'm weird and I collect some of the confetti from my shows. There's a story about that, but maybe I'll get to that in a different video. Maybe I'll do a whole separate video on that later on, maybe next year. But I wasn't planning on getting any confetti because, again, we were way up top. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'll just, watch from afar. But no, we were right there in the confetti storm. So I made sure to pick up a good old handful. And you can see that I got one of the purple streamers. Okay, very cool. Not near as cool as this, though, because everybody knows that during Rock and Roll Night on this tour, they've been dropping these Kiss balloons, these huge black and white Kiss balloons. And not once the entire tour that I can think of that Jeb and I got to just even touch one, because everybody does the whole beach ball thing at rock shows and, spring break, well, Kiss is doing, big Kiss balloons. And so we've seen them and we look at them and watch them bounce, but we've never not once been able to, touch one or grab one. Well, this time was different because Jeb was able to grab it out of thin air. And so here it is, part of the balloon. Unfortunately, I did not get the full balloon because even though we had it in our hand, this thing was huge. It was so big that I was leaning back into the person behind me. They didn't like that. And it's so big that it's being pushed into the person in front of me. And they don't like that. And my arms are so far out wide that both Jeb and the person next to me are both, feeling pretty cramped. They don't like that. So I'm trying desperately to get this balloon deflated as quick as possible. And I was thinking it was going to be super simple. You just, like most balloons, right? You untie the knot, you let the air out, and boom, there you go. There's your balloon. No, the way they have these done, there's like a plastic clip that almost looks like it's been melted or fastened together. So you can't get that off unless you're, I guess, a beast or something. So I was sitting there pulling this thing, worried that it's going to come off and I'm going to punch the guy in the face next to me. So I'm pulling and trying to, and I almost got it, but there was just one part where it wasn't going to happen. So I thought I have to get this thing deflated. Otherwise the people in front of me and behind me are, they're going to get really upset. So luckily I took one of my buttons that I had made and just popped the balloon with the button. And what I had hoped would happen was I would poke a hole in it, and then over the next, minute and a half, it would slowly deflate. Unfortunately, what happened was when I poked it, it popped. Like, how when a balloon pops, it pops real loud. So balloon pops, it shatters into two pieces. I got this piece with Gene's Icon face makeup on the one side, and then the guy next to me picked up the other piece, the other side, that has the Kiss logo. And so I kind of smiled at him, he smiled at me. I've got one half, he's got one half. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I know. I know it's stupid. It's just a balloon. It's half a balloon at that. But it's the idea of it. It's the end of the road. This came from the end of the road tour. I'm pretty sure somewhere I have a balloon from the reunion tour. I wasn't there, obviously, but I bought it. So that's cool. I have another Kiss balloon. I love it. And I did mention those buttons. Not only do I have, of course, my two buttons, but I was able to get buttons for my friends, which this is one thing I was really looking forward to, was getting buttons from all my friends, because we were thinking about different ways to make these shows fun, extra special. And, we were like, well, it would be difficult for every single Kiss fan to make buttons, but what if us, YouTube channels and podcasts made buttons and passed those out to each other and to fans? And so that's kind of what we did. Rick, I think, either already had these made or, had these made and was kind to send me one. And so it says, it's all for you, Demon. We waxed there December 1st and December 2nd because he's actually in New York right now as I'm filming. So, Rick, I hope you're having the best time, man. And so this is for you right here. I'm going to put this right here on my shirt. Even though Rick was not there in Rosemont, it was still cool to have him involved in the Road to Rosemont series, since he was going to be going to the New York shows. And Kiss friends, you can't have too many Kiss friends. And speaking of, Brant is one of my newest Kiss friends I've made in the last year or two, and his channel, In My Head, is super awesome. He's had me on a couple of times. I've had him on. And so I think Rob actually designed this for Brant, but this one is Brant's pin. So if you want, you guys can check out In My Head and subscribe to Brant over there. And then I also got one from Rob. Of course, I am a huge fan of Right Between the Eyes, and I've been on their show several times, and they're the ones that hosted the Road to Rosemont series, which, you guys, even though the Road to Rosemont is over, you can still go back and watch those episodes because those are just good, classic, old-fashioned Kiss fan fun. Those episodes was really fun leading up to the Rosemont show. So thank you, Rob, for coordinating that, and for Nick and Nico, and to Rob for having me and everybody else on. Now, even though Pasquale was not going to Rosemont, or was he not involved in the Road to Rosemont series, he still sent me his button, which, if you look compared to all of ours, you know, if these are planets, this one's Jupiter. This one is absolutely massive. But I love it because that's my logo. I did that. So, really cool. And I'm going to put this on here as well because this is what I've been waiting for. I could have spent a whole bunch of money in the Kiss merch line again, but the only merch I wanted was from my friend. So, I'm pretty sure everything I've shown is free. This has only happened one other time when I got a couple gifts, but I'm pretty sure everything here is free. I'm not going to put on my buttons, but I'll just stick them out front here. But yeah, so I guess the physical ticket wasn't free, but having the ticket itself is really cool. But yeah, the guitar picks, the confetti, all the buttons, and the end of the road balloon. I mean, this has just been an incredible time for me, and so hopefully this has been an incredible time for you too, or incredible time for you too this whole entire tour. Whether it's been watching videos on YouTube and catching lives, or going to various Kiss shows, this End of the Road tour it's been an absolute blast, and it's probably been the best tour that I've ever seen. I know I haven't seen a billion Kiss tours, or even half as many Kiss tours, but of the ones that I've been grateful and thankful to see, I mean, this tour absolutely has to take the cake. I mean, I've seen more than half of maybe half of my Kiss shows have been on this tour alone. It's just been an absolutely incredible time, and so I want to thank everybody for watching this video. If you're still watching, and thank you so much for being a subscriber and for commenting. And so I want to know what you guys think of the last handful of shows. If you were there in Baltimore, I know some people have reached out to me and we're sending pictures on the Facebook page from Rosemont talking about Baltimore. Guys, I love that. Thank you so much. There have been folks from New York sending me pictures. Thank you guys so much. I love the interaction that we have around here. It's really super cool. The next episode will be the pay-per-view review. Again, for me, it's in a few hours. For you guys, it was probably last night or prior. So I'm looking forward to that. That will be our next episode, followed by the Kissmas giveaway announcement. We'll do that in one episode. So stick around for that. I think now that I'm getting close to the end, it's time for the Kiss World Map. And it's the last time we're going to be looking at the Kiss World Map, because we last left off, I think, in Indianapolis or Rosemont. Well, now, not only has the Baltimore show happened, but if you're watching this, both New York shows have also happened too. So, yeah, this is it. It's been absolutely fun, tracking along with Kiss and, crossing off these shows and, traveling with them on the Kiss World Map. But it's come to an end, so I don't know what's in store for 2024, but I know that 2023 has been absolutely incredible. And so I want to thank everybody for watching me. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I know I've dropped a bunch of episodes lately. Sorry, not sorry. I'm on this incredible high. I'm having the most amazing time as a Kiss fan, and I want to share that with you guys, and I want you to share it with me. And so, yeah, I mean, we're going to look back on these moments and this year and this tour as probably some of the best moments ever. And so I just want to capture as much as I can. I promise we will be going back to a regular schedule in 2024. But for now, we're just having the most fun. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great Christmas season. I'll see you later. My name is Xander. Peace.